All right. Hi. Good afternoon, TWC. What's up? It's Andrew Bennett, and it is the end of the month. We are coming up to well, for me, it's 4 o'clock hour. For others, it's probably obviously different, but it's the last hour of the last day of the month. And, February's right around the corner, and I believe February is going to be a alt, I should say season, but we should see some alts run. I'll get into that in a minute. I'm already having some connection issues. It looks like. I'm looking at Trump right now at the moment because this was the bottom here. This was the low from. I mean, this is a new chart, so it's kind of hard to find a chart unless you go on like Dex tools or something to see where it started. But the return back or the pullback, this was the lowest point. And I just, I was starting to, see this really start to curl, like almost even out. Here, I'll show you what I mean. So as this kind of jaggers down, see how the dramatic drops start to really kind of level out here, and then it's starting to almost flatline. That's usually a sign of the bottom's coming soon, or it's really just going into like a redistribution range, and then it's going to drop out of that again, and it would be dramatic again. So this is typically where I'll look for a potential buy here um, on that. If that was the 1 hour, here's the 4 hour. You can see RSIs are pretty low. Everything is really low in the indicators, which is good. So it felt like we were getting close to a bottom, but I thought maybe this might be a Wyckoff. There's just not a lot of to work with on this, but that doesn't mean that it's not tradable. It just makes it a little more difficult. So I'm just kind of watching that and seeing. I want to see if this kind of pulls back up into this green range here right now. If it does, then it might trigger a buy for me. I did have it off of this hammer type candle here. That was a really good candle. I actually bought in, but then it broke down from that, so I immediately got out. So it was a little bit of a loss, but it wasn't much because I had a stop loss set up. So because if it slips out of there, I don't want to get like wrecked, really. So you have to be very careful if you're doing something like this and you think that you might catch a bottom here. Um, you know, you better be pretty confident. You better set a stop loss. I would even not. I would definitely monitor it too. I would never do like something like this and then go to bed. Is what I'm trying to say, or leave the house or something. I would only try to catch this when I can completely monitor it. Even when I go to the 15-minute and see. Now this is what I want to see. Okay, so I was about to go. Trump was actually something I was about to talk about here later, but I'm just going into it now because this started happening. But see the matching volume candlesticks on this 50-minute. So this is looking really good. Plus, there's a potential no bull. Let's see if there's a bull div here. Well, we'll see if this closes out. This is about to close out in a few seconds. So it's probably not going to bull div here. That's okay though. But I do like see what happens is when you're in a range, right? Um, like on the 1 hour, you're in this green range. Sometimes when it drops out of the range, it will go into a small range in itself here, and then it will pop out. Okay, so if you can catch this, it's actually even better because you'll catch this little mini range below the bigger range. So let's see what happens here. I'm not going to just sit here and watch this the whole time, but there's a lot of volume coming out. See how these two dip candles that are they have wicks below. Look at that. It's really good volume. So that's something to notice. So here it had a nice big volume and then it bounced, right? And now we're seeing the same thing. So what could happen is because it's not jumping right back into it really pretty fast, I'm gonna kind of assume that this might be going into a potential other Wyckoff right here. So something like this. So what I do is I take the bottom of that last wick with the volume, right? Um, so, okay, let's see here. See, I was starting to kind of bounce. That's good. Um, so this is probably going to come up to this area here, is my guess. Probably to this wick. So there's a fair value gap here to that wick at least, if not a little bit higher. And it's probably gonna hit it, and it's probably gonna want to bounce back down a little bit. And this is probably, see, I'll probably end up buying something here depending on how this works out. I was almost gonna hold off on the video just because, but then I was thinking, well, maybe I could put this on the video. So let's see. Let's see. So it's gonna kind of bounce around a little bit. This is the 15 minutes, so it's not gonna be like really, really fast. It's gonna take a couple candles here, so we'll go back to this here in a second. But you see, it's kind of working its, and then kind of ABC back down. So if I really wanted to get crazy, I can go to the 5 minute, which isn't actually not a bad idea, because the 5 minute will show us the count a little bit more clear. So like right here, it got a 1, 2, then it's got 3, 4, 5. I don't know if this is gonna have 5 up there, or if it's gonna have 3 up, because what it might do is it might do one more wick below this as the spring. Okay. So I don't know if I'm going to get 5 up and then 3 down and then go in, or if I go 3 up and then another ABC down and then wick. Okay, so just kind of, I'll leave this on the 5 minute for a second. Let's just kind of see how that plays out. But I'll start where I had this. I was going to start into the stocks like I do normally do at first. And I don't want to take too much time. I really don't. It is Friday. Okay, so one of the ones I've been watching and talking about is the stock ticker U. And it's Unity software. And if you remember, or if you're new, I talked about it being. Let me just wrap this up here. So I talked about it being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leading diagonal, 5 up in orange, and then a really good ABC down to almost the 0.5, which is good. Between the 3.8 and the 5 level is really good on a leading diagonal. So then I threw up this downward channel. See here, and we've kind of bounced inside that channel, which is really good here. Okay, you want to see bouncing back and forth in the channel pretty clear, and it's doing so. All right, I'll kind of brighten it up a little bit more so everyone can see. So I'm pretty confident in this being the C into this green, support. And now it's kind of bounced up and it's found in this other support level that went back, where it's, see how it's hovering above these other areas that were resistance. Now it's kind of hovering above that again. At this point, this is basically a good long opportunity right now, in my opinion, because I think this is a 1-2 and then a 1-2, and then we got a flat AB. So here, let me go back into the smaller time frames. So I have this as a 1-2, right? A 1-2, A, B, and then working on a flat C. Okay, so this is, see how this ranging kind of back and forth, but I actually have this as a 1-2, 1-2, and then a flat, another 2. So the idea is that, it's after hours. So what I think might happen is there might be a pop here starting Monday. Monday's gonna be interesting because it's the start of a new month, and it's February. February is normally a better month to start the year off. So we're probably gonna get a pop here for 3. It's gonna be nice too. I kind of wish I would have actually longed right here, to be honest. I just didn't do it. I don't know what else to say. But that's okay, because if I get breakout here, I'm totally fine with going in there, because I anticipate and expect it to break this red line at 2608. That's an additional confidence level line, because that's the wave B. So I wanted to break above the B to add confidence that this is all complete and done. Okay, because this is going to be a good trade in my opinion. All right, so it's still inside this channel, but we're most likely going to see this pop off. If it doesn't, it starts to break down, then my count is off here and I'm just going to get out of it. So if it really breaks down below this level here at $21.26 in that range, if it starts to break down there, then I'm wrong, in my opinion here. Okay, this is probably still corrective, and it's probably going to come down here. But then if that's the case, then that's even better buy. but I think that I don't think we're there anymore. I think I'm leaning a lot towards the side that this is going to break up, and it's most likely going to happen pretty quickly, like as of Monday or early next week, because this is really good structure here. It's forming right above this, again, above this resistance support in this green. Okay, so that's how I like. That's why I like you. Let's see what happened with Trump here for a second. Okay, so it's still, yeah, still kind of bouncing around. It looks like it's just doing ABC, and it's going to come down again. Um, so the I'm sorry if it's kind of breaking up. There's something going on with the connection. So like 1, 2, 3. Let's see if this comes down one more time and then find some. I really wanted it to come up a little bit higher though. I wanted to come to the top of this range because I want to hit the top of this wick, so it kind of forms the range. Yeah, it's kind of breaking up. Sorry, everyone. It did actually fill. I didn't see this wick here because I was at the 15 minute before. Now we got the 5. It did fill that right there. So I guess that could be the support, maybe. So maybe we can go like that. Either way, though, I just want to see what's kind of happening here. Um, yeah, but I liked it, that other candle. I don't know. I'm not. It's not that important. What's important is watching the volume here as it starts to kind of maybe trickle down. Let's just kind of see it. Okay, my other stock was MRNA. Okay, so we talked about it being hitting a bottom, but then it broke down. I was like, oh, maybe it wasn't the bottom, right? I actually think at one point I said that'd be interesting. This was a Wyckoff. Well, sure enough, it actually is acting like one. What I mean is that although there's more volume here, so I don't know if it fits the Wyckoff method, but it's pretty close because it bends the range as a wait and see, because this looks like a 1, 2, 3 and working on a 4. But if it starts to break down some more, then I'm out, and then I'm not, then I'm thinking there's corrective. I'm not in this trade. What I want to see though is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then I pull fibs, and then it comes back to this range again for a 2. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. So we're close again on mRNA. I did remember seeing that they're putting all that money into AI. He also mentioned the mRNA. You know, uh, what am I trying to say? Medicines and what have you, and vaccinations. So maybe that's why this got a good pop from that, because it dropped and then came right back up and then filled this gap. But if it starts bleeding back down again and break, oh my gosh, um, it starts bleeding back down and it comes back here again, then look for lower. That obviously popped off. You all know where that's at and where I'm at there. This finally did come back down, and I've been looking at this as 5 waves down for an A. Because look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's really clear, right? That's what I like about stocks sometimes. Sometimes it's just really clear on counts. So I'm gonna make sure you can see this really well. So then this really looked like an ABC up for corrective. It was just like 1, 2, 3. And then there was a lot of volume on that top there. So that's the level to break. So I was just kind of waiting to see what happened. And as a couple of days and time went on, this is a couple of weeks now, you can see kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? A, 1, 2, 3, B, and then it has this really long dragged out uh, with very little volume low here, and then it kind of pops out. Now, um, I don't know if this is an accumulation or not. I'm not 100%. The volume doesn't match up great. What would I want to see is that here's the wick that made the low. This kind of looks like a 1, 2, 3, and then the back down again. So it might kind of drop down and then come back up. One thing that it didn't hit was it did hit the 618 retracement, but it did not hit the 705 level. And I think that's a little bit more important level here because it's pretty close. So having to come back down one more time and then popping up would be nice. So this might be more of a distribution range. Although, maybe this is it just looks like a 1, 2, 3 up. So this looks like it might have come down, snap, and then snap back up again. So that's what I'm waiting for on that. If this happens to just keep going up, I'm going to try to catch the count and then look for the return and pullback. If it ends up going above, if it ends up going above um, 91, let's say it breaks 92 cents, so just a little under 91, then this is probably done in the corrective phase and it's going to start rolling. Okay. And that's really probably going to be extremely good because this is 5 waves, this is 3 waves up. So the next would be the wave three, 5 waves up. And this is came back into a pretty nice area here for support on this green. If it breaks down, I just wanted to see it come back up again. If it starts breaking down and keeps going down, then maybe the bottom wasn't called and maybe it was just all corrective. But I really do think that we did find a bottom here. Feeling pretty confident that still. I mean, look at this. Look at this 4 hour. It looks really good. I mean, look, they had this really strong candle here, and then it started to dip down, and then look, it's starting to find kind of hammer. Next week's going to show us a lot, I think, in a lot of these stocks. Okay, so that's where I'm at on STEM too. So it's caught his eye, unless he saw me talking about it. But um, I did change my count a little bit more here because I kept thinking like, man, this did not look like a flat from here. So I was able to figure out that this was a 3 up, 4, and then this was a 5 like ending diagonal. And then it had a flat here, ABC. So see, here's the flat, boom, boom, because this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Okay, so that's why I think that the 5 is probably up here. It's either this wick or up here, and then this was ABC. Either way, it's so close. It's not something to sweat over. The reality is that this came down and then bounced out. This really does look like reaccumulation. All of this right here, especially knowing that it came down, it came back up, and then it sprung out back. It like opened like really bad on some news, and then it really just popped off. People actually bought into that, and there's good volume on that candle. And we talked about it. I think the last we talked about was this was going to be a 1, 2. We were looking for a 3, and sure enough, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this 3 is bigger than the 1, so that's good. So it's not the smallest wave, so that's fantastic. So right now I pulled fibs and I'm looking for that 5 level. It's about there. So this is go time. This is really go time. This should be an opportunity to long in this area. There's going to be new pivots next week to start the week off. There will also be new daily pivots. So I'll just look at those. But as long as we're not in a bad pivot area, then I'm just going to probably fire up on some TGT. So TGT and I'm looking at going on those. Just a heads up for everybody. Okay. All right. Okay, so if you're in TWC, you've seen this chart. Oh, I think you have. Hold on one sec. Actually, let's see. Let's look at Trump real quick. Okay, so it's still bouncing around. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, this is the 5 minute, right? So I'm just letting it kind of develop and do its thing. I really did think it would come a little bit higher here, but let's see. Okay, let's see what happens here. This is probably going to bleed down, probably from here, maybe. I don't know. Hard to say. If it drops below this wick, oh, sorry. I don't think you can see. Okay, let me just, oops. Okay, so there we go. So if it starts to bleed down and goes below this wick here, then it's probably going to come down and test this bottom. I love the volume here. Volume is so good. It's dying off. So as the volume dies off, it kind of bleeds down. See, I wanted to kind of do this. Kind of just kind of work its way down, like just kind of stumble. And then it needs to come like this and then bam, like that. That's really what I kind of want to see it do. And I want to see what kind of volume it gets here. That's what I wanted to do. That doesn't mean it's going to do that. That's what I wanted to do. Because I'm probably going to end up grabbing something here. Let's see. So we'll let it play out a little bit longer. All right, Bitcoin. All right. So in TWC, we obviously have our Bitcoin channel, and I've been looking at some macro looks quite a bit. I've just kind of point out some things. And one thing about Bitcoin is that it doesn't history doesn't match perfectly, but it definitely it rhymes, meaning it has some similarities. And inside, this is the bull run since November of 22. Okay, so I've been showing this channel for a while, but I want to know. I noticed a couple things the other day, and on how it looks like it's what it's doing here. And so um, during wave one, okay, the wave three came up and it broke the EQ, and then it kind of stumbled out down and then back up again. So see how there's like these double tops here, and then it drops down to this outer ring of this the outer edge of this channel, and then immediately popped. Well, when you look at the RSI, it hit down here in the RSI, it hits like the 50 in the RSI, and then it pops up to finish the wave one, right? And then fast forward to the wave three of three, very similar scenario here, right? It breaks the EQ. Here, I'll zoom in a little better. It breaks the EQ here. It tops. It comes down. It comes back up. It breaks the EQ and it tops again, and then it goes back down to that same channel bottom there. Also going back to the 50 on the RSI. This is the 3-day, by the way. So very similar, and then it pops up again to finish wave three, right? Well, sure enough, a very similar price action is happening again. So here, this is B weighing 5. It pops up, it tops here, it breaks down, and it brings back up again. It goes a little bit higher and it makes another top. And now it appears, I'm just going to say the word appears, that it might be breaking down again. It's not official yet, right? Because we got to be careful. Like I say that it looks the same, but it doesn't mean it has to happen, right? I don't want to tell you something like, hey, it's probably going to come down here and then it keeps going up, because that would be a major mistake. But it's definitely on the radar for me, because if this starts to slip beyond the EQ, and then I know that the pivots are going to change. So that's another thing. Where are the pivots going to be by next month, which is going to happen here pretty soon? The pivots are going to switch on us. Now, this is a 3-day, so we'll have to wait on the 3-day another couple days for that. But on the daily, it will. Anyway, well, my point is that as we start to see, if we start seeing bleeding here more and more and more, it starts to go under this wick right here. This is that big wick where a lot of people came in and bought. Then we could see a breakdown, okay? And maybe this is more of a bigger flat or something. I don't know. And then I would probably look at this area again and look what's happening here. Look at the 50. See the red? Isn't that interesting? It lines up right where that bottom of the channel is. And look at the RSI. It's hitting the moving average, and it appears to be hitting it as resistance, and it's getting closer to that EQ. So are we going to possibly see another dip to start February, and then be it will probably be quick. A lot of these have been pretty, well, this one wasn't too fast, but it definitely dropped and then it kind of worked its way down. But over here, like, look at this. It had a big candle and then a little one, and then bam, a really big one and a monster candle, right? And look what it did. It hit that 50. Okay. Now here it did not hit the 50, but the 50 also wasn't near that area. Do you see what I'm saying? So that could, it has a little bit to do with that too. Here the 50 is near that area. So I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but it absolutely sure does look like there's a possibility of this. And if it does, well, then that seems like a fantastic place to grab some, right? So it's not a negative look. It's more of a like, hey, if this breaks down, this is a good target to look for, right? Which would right around be $86,000. Okay, 86, 87, give or take, right? I'm not gonna, give you an exact, but 87. I would say 87. If we see like we're breaking into the 90s, right, and then we're going to lower 90s, I would say that 87 is probably we're gonna probably rip 87. And then I like to see where all this kind of matches up. It's just an observation, okay? The wave count, it doesn't call for it as much, and it kind of makes it a little bit concerning as what is this overall range if it's breaking down. But sure enough, I mean that's what's happening here, and it still broke down. A range look, and it still broke down, and it came back up. So I don't think the market is done yet. I think that we still got one more snap up. We should have a very good last run, in my opinion. This is going to be like the last hoorah, and then hit at wave five, and then then we have to look at what's happening next, really. But yeah, so just keep this in mind. This is a good. I think this chart is really helpful for me. Maybe drop a channel like that. It's on log scale, so make sure you have a log scale. And then just do another channel inside there and line up that EQ to kind of help you out. But yeah, see, it's flirting with that EQ right now, you know, and that EQ is legit. That's a good EQ. Okay, if you look at it, it's been resistance support. There's no denying that. And here it's broken in, but see, it breaks down, breaks back up. See how these like big candles are kind of coming in and out of it, of the EQ. So right now it's holding right above it. What would happen is if it doesn't hold it, it will be like wham. It will probably do a pretty good size drop. So I don't know if that would be a news event or something. I have no idea, but it definitely appears that way. Okay, so that's just kind of where I'm at on that. Nothing crazy. Here on the 4 hour, so locally on the 4 hour, it's kind of holding up pretty nice actually. It did have a strong dip down, but it picked up a nice little bid, in this green zone. So I got these zones here, these resistance supports. These have really been helpful for me actually. And I changed the color when it breaks down. So right now this is orange. This is showing resistance and support. This double area has been very key in the past. So I'm just kind of watching this, but it looks good right now. There's good volume coming in on this potential doji slash maybe hammer that's going to close in 20 minutes. Here, let's go back to Trump. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. That's a nice candle. Look at the volume popping up. So maybe it comes up, and then if it comes back down one more time, that's it. That's where it's going to be grabbed. That you know you could, right now, if I had been really watching this and not doing the video, I might have grabbed around here and just put my stop loss under here. But this is the 5 minutes, so a lot can happen. But see, yeah, I mean, this is what you want to look for. If you're looking for a bottom, first of all, you got to be patient, and secondly, set a stop loss. Right, set a stop loss. If you're trying to grab a bottom, don't mess around. Make your stop loss very tight and watch it. Don't go to sleep. Don't go away from the chart. Okay, if you're trying to catch a bottom, it's why it's better to have more confirmation of it coming back up and you get the counts right. That's way easier, honestly. I'm sitting here, I'm like, all right, I start seeing this, I'm like, oh, and I get a little bit jumpy, right? And it doesn't always work out. It definitely doesn't, but sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. All right. So we're seeing how this works out, but it's looking pretty good here. So you just gotta know what's going on right here. This kind of looks like a 1-2-1-2. So this could come back up here and then drop down one more time. because that would be like an A, B, and then C. And then we should see volume be nice, but not as big as this stick here. So this is where a lot of volume came in. So we'll come back to it again. Nice though. This is nice. I mean, locally, Bitcoin looks fine. I mean, I know I just told you that there's a potential drop. You know, it could bleed down. Who knows what's going to happen? I just want to I don't want to ignore that. All right, Bitcoin dominance. You know, I'm very like I'm very 50-50 on Bitcoin dominance right now. My gut is telling me that this is an A, B, and we still got one more for a C because I think that we're going into where alts are going to kick off. And I'm going to show you something in a minute. It would make more sense that this did kind of drop down back to this 50%, 54% level and then took off, right? So because alts look like they want to move against Bitcoin. I'm going to show you that in a second. And see how this candle, this is a pretty strong, it kind of lines up with all of a sudden Bitcoin just started dropping and then dominance really started dropping with it. But alts don't look that bad. Actually, alts look more bottomed than they look more than they want to go down more, in my opinion. And so I think that February is where, we start to see alts start to move and then Bitcoin just kind of doesn't really do all that great. And then that, I don't know how long that's going to last. I have no idea, but I just think, February is kind of going into where March, April, May, where it's really going to get good. It's going to kind of lead it. It's kind of kicking us off essentially. By the way, my intuition of in December when I talked about how I thought we were going to have some dips and the price was going to go down, that definitely was that was good intuition. That was working. That's worked out very well because there's been a lot of drops since then. Okay, so I'm going to show you ETH Bitcoin, number one. Okay, ETH Bitcoin. All right, look at this. I'm not, I apologize if this has been brought up. I'm not on every video anymore. I try to get on the videos, but when we're doing like our Fridays or our weekly stuff, but it's just hard for me with all this other things that's going on. But I just want to show this. If you already know about this, then sweet. But this looks like it went into a white cop accumulation, big time. Okay, so ETH versus right, and an automatic retest, and then it just kind of moseyed the way down, and then it did a lower low here, barely, right? And then look, volume starts to come up, and it starts to they take off. So this is like telling me like it's kind of validating my thought that we're going to see alts take off against Bitcoin. This is a good sign. People are, a lot of people are saying ETH is dead. I know that it was talked about today on Friday's stream. This is a sign that we're probably seeing a bottom on ETH compared to Bitcoin, and then just in general. Okay, so this is good. So you kind of get this pop off here. It's hitting some resistance. Should kind of kind of come back a little bit more maybe, and then it should take off pretty well. This is the 12-hour, so this is the hourly. So because we still have until Sunday. But I just wanted to show this to you that this definitely looks like it's going into an accumulation and that people are probably switching over and picking up some ETH and what have you. Okay, a lot of talk about people smart money might be jumping into ETH. It's looking like that. Here's another one, AVAX, right? AVAX is another one. Look at this. Look at this really nice wedge. This is AVAX versus Bitcoin. Okay, so it dropped below, this area here. You can see that, something like that. Yeah, and it's popping back up above it again, right? So it's here and it was here and kind of here. So it's kind of getting back above it. So it's kind of like a range, but it's not really. But it's kind of something to look at. And it's getting back up here, and this is a pretty nice wedge here, honestly. This is AVAX versus Bitcoin. So another one where I'm gonna probably keep an eye on this because I like AVAX, but AVAX is kind of like a lot of the other ones that are similar. I mean, I can go on a few of these and see a very similar wedge, but this one was really clean to me. So it was a distribution there and it dropped out, but it might come back into that range. And if it does, it's gonna break this wedge here and it should have some good price action. So this is again, Bitcoin's probably going to range or kind of like bleed, and then altcoins are going to move against it. That's kind of my thought. And we're going into a new month, so it makes a little bit of sense. All right, some of the ones I like a lot is SEI right now on the daily. A really nice, clean, pretty clean wedge. Not the cleanest wedge. I would have liked to see this B would have been up here, but it's still something to watch here. Really, it's about how this went down to the 705 level and then it's coming back up. It's finding resistance in the orange, so it needs to get above that, but that could be like a 1-2 maybe. So we're going to see some chop here maybe. So I just want to see what happens there. I really like the RSIs though. They're really low on the daily. And you see how the Fisher, it started curling up here, and so did Stoke RSI. So what I'm thinking is that this is a 1-2. We're going to see a 3, and it's going to break out. So I like this. So I'm really wanting to see how this develops here. Another one that a lot of people are, I guess this was kind of like, I don't know, this kind of snuck up on me. Oh, it was this wormhole W. It's called wormhole, or the ticker is W. And really, I guess it got some attention through grayscale. I'm not sure, but it's got a really good clean wedge. When you go to the 8 hour, you can even see it better here. And it's getting over some moving averages here too. You could see how so here was the better wedge, in my opinion, was this ending right here. So this right here, it broke out. See that real strong candle out of the break? Here, I'll show you. Sorry. Okay, see that line? That's another wedge here. That's a wedge and a wedge. That was the better wedge in the break because it had a strong candle out of that. And now it's finding resistance near this orange here, which isn't really probably truly a good resistance line because it's teetering around it and like not really wanting to break through. So that's really not much. It's actually this other one is better, but it really broke through that really well, and it's moving through the pivots really well. I like that a lot, and I think yeah, there's a bull div here on the 8 hour, and I think there was a bull div on the 12 hour. Yeah, there's a bull div on an 8 hour and 12 hour. It's really solid to see that at that low level. And look at this one, even better bull div from over here. Okay, getting above the 50 on a 12 hour is solid when it seems to be coming down. So we could see that kind of ranging a little bit. This does look like a 1-2-3, and it's working on a 4. So then we should get a 5 getting above um, this lower high here. Ultimately, though, we don't want it to get above the 32 cent level here, 32, 35 cent. That's like a good level to break eventually. That will add confidence to saying that this is bottomed here and that we're seeing new counts coming up. But yeah, I would watch this one. I mean, there's a lot to watch, honestly. Here's the last part of this one was the fact that it looks like it comes into a 1-2 E flat in this green range. So it's just one big, nice green range here with a flat, ABC flat. Okay. A lot of good stuff on W. I like how the volume started kicking up here again. It was at the S1, the daily S1, which is good, although those are going to change. It's finding some resistance at the 200 MA, so that is a little bit um, as a pause, right? So we want to see, but I think that's a wave 4. So it's gonna, maybe another day or two kind of range there, and then it should pop for a 5, and then we're gonna want to see it come back down a little bit for that wave 2. Okay, so this is on the radar for sure. It's not a buy yet, but it's close. I posted about AERO. And what I like about AERO right now is on the daily, there's a really good volume change here, and this looks like Wyckoff. Okay, so good volume on this big wick. Came up for the last count for a correction, then it came back down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then boom, less volume and good follow through. Very good follow through there. Okay, I didn't know if this little orange line here was going to be anything. It doesn't look like it's much, but locally it looks good. When I zoom into the 4 hour, this is what I like the most is the local look here. Give me a second. Let me get this prepped here. All right. So what I like about locally here is I think the here we go one. Oh yeah, here. All right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and it went into an ending diagonal 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. I mean, I don't know if it's an ending diagonal because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Um, I don't remember how I counted that before. 1, 2, 5. Anyway, I have it topped off here at maybe it was a maybe it wasn't like a wedge, it was more like this. I think it might have been more like this. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Something like that. Something like that. But anyway, what I have is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to finish off. Oh, that was the ending diagonal here in the wave 5 itself. That's what it was. Sorry, everyone. I looked at it and I didn't change it, and then now I'm like starting to see it right now. My bad. All right, so it's something like that. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, so now we're just looking for a pullback. So I pulled fibs from there to there, and it should come back to the pivot or a little bit maybe below the pivot, which is fine. Okay, so I'm looking for like a good solid 3 down, back to the pivot, or 0.5 is $1.03, 10356. Okay, that's where I kind of want to see it come back to for wave 2. Okay, and then ultimately start rolling from there. Okay, so I like this a lot. I think there's a good setup here coming. Rune really took a dump, and it appeared that the I don't know if you want to call it a business or whatever, or you know um, the project, right? Whatever. Rune, it started to seem like they were falling off, like they were having some big issues, and it almost looked like a Luna situation. But then it found some support. So I'm not. I don't know. I find some of this stuff kind of weird. But I'll tell you this though, it looks like it's in a Wyckoff here because there was some good, really good volume that came in. Look how the volume has really died off. And then look how here it kind of came up here on this top. So what I'm thinking is that we're getting close here, and I do want to see this kind of come. So I got 1, 2. It's going to go like this, maybe like boom, and then come back, into this range, and then really kind of. So we want to see a spring, and I want to see volume start to really take off from here. Okay, so I am looking down in this area. I don't know if the S1 is going to hold up there or not because I don't know if this is going to happen before the week's over. But although it looks like it's going, it looks like it might. This looks like an ABC. I've been thinking that since day one, that this was an ABC, and then it just kind of worked. It could have been a flat. This technically has not came down below this one, so this still can be in a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that's like a really weird 5 waves up. Technically, it's there, but I don't know. It just looks like it's wanting to come down here and be more of a Wyckoff. But we'll see. Right now, it's actually showing that it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 would be up here, and then it would come back down again, which would probably drive everyone nuts. So if this ends up starting to come up here, then that's probably the idea. I would be cautious in going long yet because it might, unless you want to do like a quick scalp, it's probably only going to come right above this one and make a higher one of that, maybe come back into this and then want to come back down again, most likely, because this is clearly only 3. Even if you call this a flat right here, this is still just 1, 2, 3. So it's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, you know, 1, 2, like I don't even know how you count this. This looks like 5 down. This looks like an ABC. Everything looks like it's wanting to come down still. So I'm just watching this right now, but it's nice. Don't get me wrong. This is a really good opportunity here because if this comes down here, you might want to grab. This could be a, you watch to see if it springs, of course, unless you want to get a little risky with it, and see what kind of happens here. So we're either going to come up. So it's going to be like, maybe this kind of works its way back up again, kind of goes like this, like that. But then I would expect it to kind of come back down again and then find its way up like that. So that's like one scenario. And then the other scenario is the one I'm actually leaning towards is this ultimately kind of falls down again, like I just showed you guys, but then it comes back up like that. Okay. So just something in that nature. And this is where I would be looking to buy right around here. All right. And I like Rune. Rune looks pretty nice, unless the project falls apart. All right, let's see what happened with Trump. Let's see what's going on with the Trump. So are we going to get an ABC here and then come down? Or what are we doing here, folks? I don't know. It's definitely forming something though here. You gotta also watch out too. There's sometimes these look like ranges, but they turn into triangles. So you gotta be careful there too. Because look at this 1, 2, 3. This could be like a 4, then a 5, which would also kind of work with the fact that it's gonna spring. So I don't know. I'm still watching this and seeing what it's doing, but it's definitely caught my attention here. This little possible range. So yeah, as far as Trump goes, I mean, I think I pretty much described what I was thinking. But again, there's not a lot to work with. This is on Binance. Coinbase doesn't really show us much either. If you really want to see what's going on with Trump, you just got to go to like dextools.io, I think it is, and you can pull it up there, and you can see it where it started from the beginning. But these now that it's on exchanges, this is better because you'll get better volume. Which, but when I go like that, that's how I see better volume here. So see how the volume's kind of dying off. It just kind of had these little snaps. So we'll see. If this comes back in though, by the next, this is a 4 hour. This comes back up into the range. It looks pretty good. It's a good, it's good area here. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. See, it's funny. Look at the hour. All that stuff I was looking at is nothing. It's just a wick on in 1 hour. It's so funny. But it tells you what's happening. I mean, if you want to zoom in, you want to see what's going on in these wicks. If you're looking at that 1 hour, you're like, "Ooh, what's happening here?" But if you zoom in, you're like, "Oh, it does tell you a lot actually." Look at it. There's good volume coming on this candle too. It's better than this last one on the 1 hour. So that's pretty solid. I mean, this could bounce. Last one is Vine. So if everyone's on social media, oh, look what happened here. What do we do here? Oh, nice pullbacks. This is very similar to Trump. See how I have this green here? So you can trade Vine on some of the exchanges. VMAX, you can trade it. You see how this had this nice little kind of distribution here, and it's fallen into maybe another possible range, and it looking like it wants to come back into it. So I was thinking that this was an ABC or a 5 up, and then looking for an ABC down. So that definitely got me that. See, I came back down to this wick here. So if it comes back up above here, that's pretty solid. I'm going to be happy about that. Um, so Vine, look at that. Vine is interesting. It's a meme coin, right? But it got a lot of attention, and it's now on exchanges now too. It's like 150 million market cap, so it's really low. But it's not a rug. It's not rugging. It's holding up. It's actually building structure. which is very interesting. Now, I'm not saying it's not, it could, rip down. Don't get me wrong, please. And obviously, if you're trading meme coins, you got to know what you're doing. Okay, you really do. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're trying to trade a meme coin, you better know what you're looking for. Okay, and don't just pull into it. Because the meme coins are like literally emotional trading. Right? People talk about, ooh, look at all this money I made. Remember, all those people probably knew about it before they announced it. So when you see these people, like, it's so wrong in so many ways. I see this all the time where, oh, look at all this money I made, millions of dollars, and I'm like, it's just wrong because you're showing people how much money you make because you're hoping to jump in because all you're doing is just selling into it. It's bad. It's really, I don't know if you believe in karma or what, I don't know. I find it bad. But look, I don't want some of these though turn into something though. Okay, right? That not all the meme coins are going to be like garbage. I mean, Dogecoin's a meme coin. Like, there's a lot. Pepe was a meme, right? Now Pepe's like legitimately tradable. I mean, I made a lot of money on Pepe, and I'll be honest, I made some money on Vine too. Because I know how to get into these things. And when they first start, you watch them, you can trade them on Dex tools and these other tools here. You have to connect your wallet, so you have to be very careful. You have to watch it, obviously. So I was able to get in and made a pretty good run on this. This actually became on Femex around here, over here, and I got in on this thing. It was really great. So but now it's just kind of coming back down to reality, and who knows? Maybe it just dies off. I don't know. It's got a good following though. It's got, it's holding up with money, but again, hey, reality is you can short it to go into zero. That's another thing too. If you really think about it, right? I find it interesting when if you follow the meme world, how they get excited when they get on centralized exchanges, and they're like, oh, look, we're on the centralized. I'm like, that people are just gonna short it, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just great opportunity, most likely for shorting, honestly. In most cases, I won't say in every case, but if you think about it, if it's a meme coin and it got all this attention and it goes on exchange, right? Well, if it dies off and you're shorting it, you're gonna make a ton of money on shorting it, because it's gonna go to like virtually nothing. So I don't know, it's just a way to look at it. Like, if you kind of switch your mindset, and you're like, oh, everyone's excited about it being on an exchange. Well, is it really gonna hold up, or is it a good opportunity to short? Because everyone starts, seeing that, oh, this may be a rug pull, then people are making, because you can't, shorting is obviously risky, but you can't, you have to, you got to do it on an exchange, really. Um, so it's just, I find it funny. I find it funny that people get excited that it's on the exchange. I'm like, yeah, that's normally when you want to get out pretty soon or be cautious because that thing just might go to zero from there. But anyway, Vine, I just wanted to bring it up because I do like it out of the many that came out. It did have some structure. It does move very well too. If this does kind of start finding a bottom, then this is a tradable coin probably, because it's at 15 cents. This thing went to like 40 cents. Okay, so this is like a here. Let me just give you the example, right? What if I'm just gonna say what if this is a 1-2? Okay, right? Let's say Vine starts to really pop off. I think the owner is trying to like bring Vine back, which is like a TikTok thing or something, for videos. But what if it's a 1-2, right? Well, three's got a massive target. Okay, I'm just gonna say, for example, this is the bottom here where it's at now. I don't know if it is or not. That could potentially put wave three minimum at $1.72. Okay, $1.72, right? There's a way. I mean, how many coins? Think about how many coins you looked at. You're like, oh man, I wish I would have got back in there when it looks like a 1-2. And you're like, oh, this is clearly the three. I've done it so many times where I'm looking, I'm like, oh, we're already in the three, right? We're already in the three. Well, the ideal situation is identifying the 1-2 and getting into the 3 as the breakout, right? So in this case, here is probably a channel, maybe. It's almost to the bottom of the channel. It's a good pullback if you were to pull fibs. It went past the 705. It didn't get to 786, so it's very low, right? But if this starts finding some support and coming back up again and back into this range, people are going to start seeing this, being like, ooh, maybe there's a buy here, right? And then it starts really breaking out. Okay, what if it gets above this pivot? Well, then maybe 1-2 is legit. Right now, I'm looking for it to break ultimately, you know, 32 cents. That's a long way from now. That's right there. That in itself is a double up. Okay, I mean, talk about that. A double up to wave B, that's pretty nice. Normally, you're not getting a double up. So if it finds some support here and some strength, and we get some nice candle here bounce back, then yeah, right now find your spot and maybe try a shot on it. So I had to bring it up. It's a good one. That's what I got, right? So Bitcoin, I got some good stocks there. Again, I'm looking at you to go in next week. I'm looking at TGT to go in. So, you know, expect those buys for you guys in the trades. I talked about Bitcoin dominance. Let's see what happens with the dominance there. I think we could see alts starting to go against Bitcoin. So I think that the dominance kind of comes down a little bit more. Ultimately, bringing dominance maybe up one more time. Um, but February, March, April. Look, if you guys are in TWC, which I believe you all are, I've been very vocal about where I think this run's going to go into. I do have it until April. Historically speaking, right through the last, three or four, I think it's three or this is a fourth cycle of the halvening. It normally runs for about 12 months, give or take, and then it has an extension. Okay. Well, that would put us right around April, but if it extends, it could go to about the end of August, right? So that's kind of the thought, and I just went off historical data. It doesn't mean it has to happen, but it does seem to be lining up pretty nice. So I think that that's kind of what to anticipate here, and maybe next time I'll show you guys that chart. We can go into it more, but I'm looking at 172K range, right? So if we start seeing Bitcoin really take off again after kind of what I talked about. Whether it's going to come down here or not, ultimately. I have my 5 strategically placed. I have my 5 at April, the end of April, and right around the top of this channel, and it's right around 172K. So, will this kind of keep rolling up here? Will this bleed down and then do one more run up? I don't know. Want to see something kind of interesting here real quick before I go. Check this out. So from here to here, right? Watch this. When I grab that yellow, do kind of the same scenario. If it came back down, look where that puts me. Right around back to the top here, right around 165,000. So it's not impossible. If this thing comes down, like it literally did it already once, right? I just showed you with the arrow. So it can come back up here again if it does come down here, okay? And the 87, 88,000 to back to, 165, like I said, 172. The extended version from historically shown could go up to 450,000. Okay, because it would go to the 272 level. All right, I'm just gonna do it right now. I've been talking about it too much now. Give me a sec here. I have to find it. I have like a million charts over here. These are all like these old charts that I've had that have. I have all these like really old charts. Here it is. Hold on, let me get rid of this real quick. Pardon me, guys. Give me a sec. Okay. So what this is, if I haven't, I don't think I've talked about this. Maybe I have. If I have, I'm sorry. But these are the runs and the drawbacks, right? the big bull runs and then the bear markets, but the from the happening. Okay, so each time it's gone 12 bars or 300. Okay, now each time it's gone at least the 1618 level. Each and every time it's done at least the 1618. Even on this last one that we had, the previous bull run that went to 68,000 or whatever it was, 60 65, 69,000. I can't remember exactly. It went to at least 1618. So I measure from the distance from the top, from the previous top to the previous bottom. Well, that's how I come up with this. Each one of these times at least went a year and then it extended another few months, right? So that's the extension. This time over here, it extended to the 272 level over here. So when I go to the 272 level here, it puts me pretty high, like 450,000. But ultimately, if we were to just kind of go to the first target, which would be the beginning of April, right? That would be right around 172,000. Okay. But what's interesting, I'll tell you this, is that it did go above it, so that's fine. It doesn't have to stop there. It just that's kind of like my minimum. It's interesting is the pivots. Okay, the pivots that would even be the R3. So if it were to keep going, we might see go to R3, R4, and then the R5 is about 278,000. So really, we're gonna probably, in my opinion, we'll probably see the R4, R5 hit on the weekly, and then that's probably when we'll get the blow off top. Okay, that's my opinion, right? That's what I'm kind of looking and aiming towards. So I don't know at 72 is like if it hits the 72, I'm really thinking, and it's right around this time frame. Like, let's say we're at 172,000 and we're in April, May. Like, I'm gonna mentally think we're getting close to the top. Like, I'm just going to, just from historical data. So from what we've seen three other times, for it to like be this accurate is pretty awesome. So it does help us. So maybe by end of August we see about 270. If we're seeing like right around there or like 230, then we're probably getting close to the top, in my opinion. Okay, and then from there we'll have to figure out what the count is. If this is a new wave, so this is five up, and then maybe we measure down and see, and that would put us back to 70s range. That would be really massive drop, honestly. People would be freaking out, and there's going to have to probably be something that happens for that kind of a drop. The market will have to be really shaken up because if it's going to like 200,000 and it goes back to 70,000, like 50%, if not more, yeah, there's probably something going on. So I don't know. Hopefully it's nothing bad. I assume. But look, 1, 2, 3, 4, working on a five. So it looks like we're getting close to that ending point. Here, I'm just saying, if based on Elliott wave. Okay, right. So anyway, hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed this one. Take care and God bless. And we'll see you in TWC. Bye.